April 5th, 2017. Can I have the roll call, please?
Dan Carey.
Present.
Peg Coniff. Here. Salem Derby.
Present.
Jennifer Hayes.
Here.
J.P. Kaczynski.
Here.
Joe McCoy.
Here.
Dan Rist.
Here.
Tamara Smith. Here. Joy Winnie.
Here.
Please stand for Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we heard from State Representative John Sybeck. He had to cancel it. He has a previous engagement, and he wouldn't be able to make tonight, so he will reschedule that. That's unfortunate. Could I please have a motion for the approval of the minutes of March 15th?
So moved.
A
Second.
motion second on March 15th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions?
Abstain.
One abstention?
Two.
Two abstentions?
Three.
Three abstentions, okay.
Three.
Motion still passes, thank you. Public speak time, it's a prerogative of the president to adjust the order if he wants to, so we're going to move public speak time to the end in case there's any citizens from the school committee who feel the need to want to say something tonight, so we're going to be doing that towards the end of the meeting. Communications from elected officials, boards, and committees. Again, I guess I can keep on forgetting to do this sometimes, but if anyone of the counselors have a statement they want to make or an update from any of their precincts or at large, this is a good time to do it.
Just a quick announcement.
Sure.
There, on April 27th, and I'm not yet sure of the time, there will be a meeting that will be held where there's discussion about the foundation budget, and there'll be someone from the Massachusetts Association of School Committees here to speak, and I don't quite have all the details, but that's been arranged, and it sounds like it's going to be a very important meeting where someone who is really an expert, not only at understanding the budget, but at explaining the foundation budget, will be there, and I'm really looking forward to that. April 27th.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Tracy Novak, yes. That's
She's
yes,
Correspondence. So, Councilor Derby, the election calendar, I guess?
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have the election calendar for the 2017 biannual city election, which is going to be Tuesday, November 7th, 2017. Nomination papers will be available as Monday, July 3rd, 2017. Papers must be returned for certification by Tuesday, September 19th, 2017. If you have any questions, you can ask the city clerk.
Thank you. Councilor Rist, did you want to give us some update?
Yes, I
on the
wanted to
Parks and Rec?
update the council. You received a letter from the Park and Rec Director rescinding a CPA request for his bathroom park entrance, which we voted to approve. And that was, from the CPA's point of view, contingent on a park grant, which they did not get. As a result, the CPA is entertaining a new application from the Parks Department, and that will be dealt with on the 20th of this month. So I would like this letter and subsequent motion to rescind to be placed in old business to be acted on the first meeting in May, because the CPA meeting is the 20th, the day after our next meeting. So I have to wait until this, process-wise, till the CPA rescinds their vote, and then the council would rescind its vote. But we will be receiving, and I don't know what the CPA's feeling is on it, a new application and a new proposal for simply CPA funds to do only the bathroom/storage. It's a pretty historic building on there. They just can't do the other part of that was to redo the traffic pattern at the entrance, which the Parks grant was going to pay for. So that's why it's there. Thank you.
We'll keep that for later date. Thank you. American Communications? Nothing. Standing committees, Finance, Councilor Rist.
We'll be meeting on the 12th of this week at 5 p.m. in room 1. I'd like to make a first reading of the new items that we received under new business. The first is a request for approval of the following supplemental appropriation. Requested is $10,000 to be appropriated from free cash. $10,000 to be appropriated to Capitol Highway flashing zone signs, $10,000. The amounts requested for the following purpose: to provide funds to replace 3 flashing zone signs. The next one is a supplemental appropriation request for $20,000 to be appropriated from free cash, $20,000. To be appropriated to Veterans Cash Benefits, $20,000. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose: to provide funds to meet the increasing need for our veterans. I'd like to make a motion that these two items be sent to the Finance Committee for approval.
Second.
There's a motion, a second, to move the two previous read supplemental appropriations to finance for further discussion. Counselor Derby?
I know it's not typical to have discussion during this part. However, I did want to just make a request. I did notice that Williston has bought recently flashing school zone signs. And I'm just curious if this is something that they're donating to us?
No.
And so then, if that's not the case, I think it would be probably prudent to maybe send a letter and maybe ask them to pay for these. I think,
Where are these going?
so.
Actually, now we do have a motion on the table, so
We
as
do
far
have a
as
motion on the
outside
table.
discussion,
So that is my,
you can
if
say
I
what you
can't,
want,
if I
but-
can't make it to the hearing, I would like someone on the finance subcommittee to make that recommendation and see if we can make that happen. I feel like it's the least they could do.
If they're Williston, I didn't even know that, so, okay.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second. Counselor Derby made his request for the consideration for finance. And so this is to move this to finance. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain? Motion passes.
I would also like to make a motion that the two aforementioned items be set for public hearings on April 19th in these chambers at 6:15.
Is there a
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, a second, to set public hearings for those two supplemental appropriations for April 19th, 6:15 PM in these chambers. Additional questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain? Motion passes. Does that conclude, Counselor West?
That concludes finance, yes. We
Okay.
have public
Yeah,
hearings.
exactly. Public safety, Counselor Hayes?
Thank you, Mr. President. We met last evening. I would like to make a motion to get a 90-day extension on the Mobilite pole location cell tower request. We'd like to keep that on our agenda.
Second?
Okay, a motion, a second for 90-day extension for the Mobilite pole location. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? Motion passes.
Thank you. I would also like to remove without prejudice the traffic concerns at Holyoke and Cottage Street intersections. We believe that we can handle that without going through City Council.
Okay, so is there a motion to remove that? Is there a second for that?
Second.
A motion, a second, to remove without prejudice the Holyoke Street, Cottage Street intersection. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? Motion passes.
We also took a look at the Cumberland Farms fuel storage license application. We voted 3-0 to approve it. I would like to move that forward and schedule a public hearing for April 19th at 6:15 here.
Second.
Okay, motion, a second, to schedule a public hearing for the Cumberland Farms fuel storage license application for April 19th, 6:15 PM in these chambers. Additional questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? Motion passes.
This concludes public safety.
Thank you. Appointments, Counselor Smith.
Okay, the appointment subcommittee met earlier tonight at 5:30, and we reviewed one mayoral appointment, which was for the city liaison for the State Ethics Committee, and Monica Kane, who is the HR director for the city, was recommended for this position. This is a precedent that's already been in place with previous HR employees, so it seems to be a good fit for the city, and we voted 3-0 for the approval of Monica to become the city liaison for the State Ethics Committee. So I'd like to move that forward to the full council.
Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay, a motion, a second, to approve the appointment of Personnel Director Monica Kane as our city's ethics liaison. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? Motion passes.
And we have no new appointments at this time, so I have nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Our ordinance, Counselor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have not met recently, so I do want to set a meeting for Wednesday, April 12th at 6 PM in Conference Room 1, at which time we're going to review our agenda and see what needs to stay and what needs to go. Work on
Okay.
all the issues.
Okay, thank you. Property,
We do have one item before us, that's the long-term lease of the town hall, the request to have a special act of the legislature. I'm hoping that after this meeting, since everybody's here, we'll be able to schedule a time in the near future.
oh, okay, thank you. Rules and Government Relations, Counselor Riss, do you want to move that?
Yes, I'd like to, under new business, the administrative code request to reduce the number of historic commission members from 7 to 5 to Rules and Government Relations for review.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion, a second, to move to Rules and Regulation, the Administrative Code 17-1, to rules and regulations. Any additional questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion
I
passes.
would like to thank the mayor for putting this on the agenda because it's been difficult for the CPA to make decisions involving historic preservation requests without the Historic Commission's approval, or at least their acknowledgement, and they have not been able to meet. This will make a quorum a little easier for them, and so it was a request that I made to the mayor to look into that. I thank her for that. We will be meeting 5:45 in these chambers on April 19th to discuss that. The Rules Committee will. Thank you.
Okay. Notek Ball Field Naming Committee, Council Derby, do you want to update us on?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. We do have some correspondence that the Parks and Recreation Commission did vote to approve the recommendation of the ball field naming that was put forward from the ball field naming subcommittee or ad hoc committee. And so it looks like they have approved to name two fields. They have not decided which fields are which. That is going to be in the purview of the Parks and Rec Department. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the two names of these fields, which are Biardi Field and Coughlin Field, that will then be delegated by the Parks and Rec Department.
Second.
Okay, well, motion is a second to accept the recommendation from the Nonetuck Park Ball Field Ad Hoc Naming Committee of their recommendation for the names. The Parks and Recs also accepted their recommendations, so Biardi Field and Coughlin Field will be the two names, and again, they're leaving it to the decision of Parks and Rec to decide which field will be named which, but those two names will be the names of the two new fields. So I guess at this point, since their work is done, I will accept a motion to dissolve the ad hoc.
So moved.
Second.
We didn't take the vote yet.
Oh, we didn't
Oh,
vote.
okay, let's go back. So let's take a vote. Is there a motion?
Yes.
Okay, and there's a second.
To name the
Thank you.
fields.
Okay, all those in favor of?
Aye.
Aye. Against, opposed, abstain, motion passes. Okay, now then, I'll accept a motion to.
I'll move that we dissolve the Nonetuck Park Ball Field Naming Committee.
Second.
A motion, a second, to dissolve the Nonetuck Park Ball Field Naming Committee. Additional questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion passes. I think before public hearings, Council Derby, do you want to do the last zoning?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to move the request from the planning board to add the seasonal cottage community zoning amendment to the city zoning ordinance.
Second.
Okay, so this will go both to,
Oh, and to planning board.
Right, okay.
So to both.
so there's a motion to move the proposed seasonal cottage community ordinance to planning and ordinance subcommittee. Any additional questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to open public hearings.
So moved.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion passes. Council Rist.
Yes, the first up is the police chief's request for $11,628 for firearm ammunition. Some may wonder why we need it. We haven't had any battles lately, but that was my joke at the meeting anyway. It is very important for our officers to qualify as per state regulation. There are two qualifications. You'll correct me if I'm wrong, Chief. One in June, and they qualify twice a year. Second one is scaled back, but they've had a deficit over the years in having funds for ammunition, and this will catch us up. Am I correct on that?
Absolutely correct, Council.
All right, so if you have any questions?
Did you want to summarize a little more, Chief?
I certainly can. Good evening, Councilors. Councilor Riss summed it up quite well. For the most part, we've been robbing Peter to pay Paul from one year to the next. We've been depleting our supplies in an effort to not spend additional monies, but we wound up catching up with us. So we're in a position now where the line item that we have under public safety supplies is where our ammunition is, and the ammunition grows cost-wise by 10% each year. And so as we compounded our problems by not putting in or not getting enough monies to cover the ammunitions in the public safety supply line item. But what's compounding it is the fact that we haven't been ordering as much as we need because we've had somewhat of a surplus. So it kind of caught up with us, and that's where we're at now. to that end, we do qualify every June. If I waited until, so this is what happens, if I waited until after July 1, into the new budget, to order ammunition, there'd be a gap in our training, in our yearly training from June to June. And God forbid if something happened within that time frame, it could certainly open the department and the city up to some liable with regards to training and our yearly training. We do qualify with firearms twice a year. One is a full, complete qualification with our handgun, rifles, and then we then have a low light qualification course, usually in the late fall, when we do a very modified qualification where we do not dispense that much ammunition, but we still dispense ammunition just the same, but just not as much as we do in the June qualification. So it's troublesome. Fortunately for us, the police supplier that we get the ammunition from is holding the 2015 pricing for us through the end of this year. So 20% would be the normal markup. We're saving that. But just the same, we need the extra money to get the qualifications done, in a nutshell.
I forgot to ask this. I think I asked it at the meeting. This qualification isn't simply weapons training and how to shoot a firearm. It also deals with policy, procedures such as when to use deadly force,
Use of
etc.
force. Oh,
It's not simply target practice. I wanted everybody to know that.
No, absolutely not. We do extensive use of force training with each and every officer. And what I failed to mention was we also need to supply our academy recruits with ammunition for qualification during the course of the academy. But we do a lengthy use of force across the spectrum.
That is why it's important for them, because we would be under civil liability should there be an unqualified officer involved in an incident, which is why this is so important.
Councilman?
Quick question. Do we get charged for the facility that you use for the qualifying, or do they?
We actually have a corporate membership with the Rod and Gun Club on
Okay.
Route 10 in Southampton.
Okay.
It's I forget exactly what the fee is, but it's a few $100s. So we had a corporate membership, and they actually shut the range down for us for 3 days when we go down there and qualify, because it takes 3 days to qualify the entire department.
Okay, good.
Additional questions or comments for Chief? No? Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Is there anyone else from the public who would like to address the council concerning this appropriation? Okay, Councilor Rist.
I therefore would like to make a motion that the full council accept this interdepartmental transfer for the following appropriation of $11,628 to be transferred from the reserve fund, $11,628, to be transferred to police public safety supplies, $11,628, for the purpose of providing funds for the purchase of firearm ammunition.
Second.
Okay, motion is second to approve the departmental transfer of $11,628. Additional questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? Motion passes.
The next is a supplemental appropriation for $50,000. This is for the replacement of water meters, as explained to us by Pat and the Director of Public Works, Joe Pipzinski. Yeah. Joe.
Pipzinski.
They need to replace water meters every year. There's 5,767 meters in the community. 1,070 of them are not radio operated, which means they have to go in the home to read the meter, and they want a lot of them radio. However, some of the older radio ones break down, so it's very hard to catch up. This 50,000 will only buy 235 meters and radios, as it's explained in the letter. The main thing that we should remember is the water meters is the very source of revenue for the water department. So proper and accurate water meters helps the citizens and helps the department. So the Finance Committee approved this 3-0.
Okay.
The mayor is here if you have any questions. She's very versed on these subjects.
Just wanted to say one thing. And I just wanted to mention one thing also, that this allows them to as you know, before you going into houses or going up to your house with that little gadget, now they can actually drive by. They don't even have to get out. So this is the new readers, so they're instituting those too. Saves a lot, obviously. You can tell how much time and how much more efficient that is.
Thank you. Is there anyone here from the public who would like to address this appropriation? Not seeing any. Councilor Rist.
I'd like to motion for this, that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation request of $50,000 to be appropriated from enterprise retained earnings, $50,000 to be appropriated to capital water FY17 replacement of water meters, $50,000 for the purpose of providing funds for the purchase of water meters.
Second.
We have a motion, a second for the approval of the $50,000 for replacement of water meters. Any additional questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
I'm going to send around some pictures for the next one. This is the truck that the Department of Public Works wants to replace. You can see by that it is rotting, the wood rotting. It carries a lot of equipment. You can see one of the pictures what it carries. This truck, as the director mentioned, must be available on a moment's notice because it deals with emergencies. Has a rusty frame, has a wooden floor, a rusty box, doors won't close. We might be able to sell it at surplus, right, but this is what's called a frontline vehicle. It needs 6 tires. It's a 2001 vehicle. It's 16 years old, so it's probably much more efficient to replace it. So the Finance Committee voted 3-0 to approve it. Mayor also has knowledge in this area, of course, if you have any questions.
Mary, did you want to add anything more to that?
I'm sorry, Dan, if you already said this. Just one other thing, and it's in your memo too, that they originally wanted a much larger, more expensive vehicle, and when it came down to it, found out that they can, instead of the $75,000, they can, they narrowed it down to a little smaller vehicle that completely fits their needs and saves us about $24,000.
Thank you.
I forgot to mention that. Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public who'd like to address the council concerning this appropriation? Please come forward. Okay, Councilor Riss.
I would like to make a motion that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation request. The amount requested is $51,500 to be appropriated from enterprise retained earnings, $51,500 to be appropriated to capital sewer 2017 Chevy van Unit 35, $51,500 for the purpose of providing funds for the replacement of Unit 35 in the sewer division.
Second.
Okay, well, motion and a second to approve the supplemental appropriation of $51,500. Additional questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes. Entertain a motion to close public hearings.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes. We're about at the end of the meeting, but as I said, I would like to open up public speak time in case there's anyone here from the public who would like to address the council for anything that may be going on in the city. If you're interested, please come to the podium, just state your name and address for the record. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn then.
Again.
Okay, motion adjourned. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion passes. Thank you.